There's no way. I can't look up.
Okay, you're now live, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Let's call to order the City Council meeting for September 14th, 2021. Before the roll call, let's do the, we call to order. You doing the Gavin Newsom first? I got ahead of myself.
I can do that, sure.
Okay, do the Gavin Newsom first, and then we'll do the roll call.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. Governor Gavin Newsom's executive orders pertaining to the Brown Act currently remain in effect, allowing public meetings like this one to be held by teleconference to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. At this time, I'd ask the clerk to please conduct the roll call, and I would ask the mayor to recognize me afterward to confirm certain matters for the record.
Okay, please conduct the roll call.
Councilmember Armstrong.
Here.
Councilmember Veros.
Here.
Councilmember Zafar.
Here.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Here.
And Mayor Hudson.
Here.
Thank you.
I'll recognize the city attorney.
Thank you. Based on the responses to the roll call, please let the record reflect that all council members can hear the proceedings clearly. And if there are no objections, the record will further reflect that each council member believes, based on voice or facial recognition or otherwise, that persons representing themselves to be council members this evening are in fact council members. And I see thumbs up and from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Seeing no objection, I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Mayor, with a reminder that all votes must be taken by roll call.
Thank you, city attorney. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'd ask, are there any changes and additions to the agenda tonight?
There are no changes.
Okay, item 3.2, if you wish to speak under public comment or regarding an agenda item, please click the raise your hand button on your computer or star 9 on your telephone to request to speak when public comment is taken on the agenda item. You will then be unmuted, and when it is your turn to make your comments, you will have up to 3 minutes. After the allotted time, you will then be remuted. Item 3.3, board, committee, and commission meetings. A complete list of upcoming meetings may be found on the city's website at www.sanramon, that's one word, .ca.gov. Subscription service is available at the link for automatic meeting notification. Contact the city clerk with questions, 973-2539. Public comment is now open. At this time, the public is permitted to address the city council on items that are on the consent calendar, including requests to pull an item from the consent calendar. Did anybody send any letter to pull 5, 1, 2, or 3? Seeing none. Requests for future agenda items. You may also speak now for special presentations under item 6, which would be 6.1 tonight. Let me see if I've got participants down here. I have 2 people that want to speak tonight, and you may speak on items that are not on the agenda. Okay, if you wish to speak under public comment on this item, please use the raise your hand. We have 2 people so far. Feature on the Zoom or dial star 9 on your telephone. And when it is your turn to talk, as I said before, you will be allotted up to 3 minutes and then you will be muted. Let's bring in call in user number 1. You're the first one out tonight.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so first of all, I have filed for an appeal for the passage by the planning commissioners on the Sandbox VR. I've already paid in full. Please get that appeal on the calendar. And number 2, I want to let the officials know in the city that I'm against the county's vaccination mandate, against the firefighters, and also against the prospective customers at the restaurants. The vaccine mandate is unconstitutional and it is communist. And I ask that you to please fight for our freedom and our liberty. I would Also like to urge you to please not allow all of our city's videos to be in the possession and become a property of Zoom, because 5 years down the road, you don't know if they can use a hologram and simulate your voice and then, take out or add things that never happened today. 5 years down the road, they can alter history without you able to help to fight anymore. Please, you need to make sure there is way that we can fight back malpractice on Zoom's part to try to alter today's reality down the road. Thank you.
One point of clarification. You're not against firefighters, you're against vaccination of firefighters? Oh, she's gone. Okay, let's bring in Jim Blickenstaff.
Hello, Dave and Council. Jim Blickenstaff. I sent you earlier a memo from Green Fire Law on the viability of fiber optics as a real option to 5G in sensitive areas like neighborhoods with families and children. And I wanted to let you know that's an update from a previous one. There's more information coming out of how fiber optics works, and it's been more advantageous for a number of cities now that they see it as an option. A number of cities have now installed fiber optics as a connection to residential areas. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel on this one. You just have to, perhaps I would say, broaden the horizons from what you might have been understood to see what was available 3 or 4 years ago. And with neighborhoods, when they do get connected with fiber optics, they find there's actually long-term savings. There's no safety issues, no security issues, no reliability issues, and no aesthetic issues. So it really is an option that's worth pursuing. As in the memo, I'd like to also ask San Ramon to set up an ad hoc committee to study the feasibility and mechanisms by which you can establish a municipal broadband network, as other cities have done, and in the process, broaden the opportunities to best serve the interest of all your divergent citizenry. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll pass that on to Martin and staff, and they'll follow up with that one. I don't have any other hands at this time. I'll give it one last second. Seeing no one else that wishes to speak, we'll close public comment. We're on to consent calendar items. Consent calendar items are considered routine in nature, acted upon by the City Council with a single action. We have not had any written request to pull. Is there anyone from the council that wishes to pull, or do I have a motion for 5.1 through 5.3?
I'll move 5.1 through 5.3.
I can second.
Motion Perkins, second Safar. Roll call vote, please, unless there's further discussion. Seeing none, it's to you, Christina.
Councilmember Armstrong,
Yes.
Councilmember Veros,
Yes.
Councilmember Zafar,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perkins,
Yes.
and Mayor Hudson.
Yes,
Thank you.
and that passes 5-0. Okay, we're on to special presentation. I just realized I don't have the proclamation in front of me. Are you going to put it on the screen?
Yes.
Good, that makes it easier. I can't do it from memory if I haven't memorized it. I have a proclamation recognizing the San Ramon Valley Islamic Center and the San Ramon American Muslim community for its efforts to provide COVID-19 relief assistance and declaring its appreciation for the contribution of American Muslims to the San Ramon community. And I will be presenting this to, I see Ahmad. Is it Abushi? Let's bring him in. And I believe we have Nadia and Shahab. Oh, they put you side by side. Okay. After I read the proclamation, then we'll ask if you have some comments. And are you going to put it up for me, Christina?
Yes.
Oh, there we are. Gosh, this technology stuff is great. Now, how do I get rid of this screen over here so that I can, there we go. I have a proclamation of the City Council of the City of San Ramon recognizing the San Ramon Valley Islamic Center and the San Ramon American Muslim community for its efforts to provide COVID-19 relief assistance and declaring its appreciation for the contributions of American Muslims to the San Ramon community. Whereas San Ramon is home to the San Ramon Valley Islamic Center, which is dedicated to serving the spiritual needs of San Ramon's Muslim community and promoting interfaith cooperation by providing an environment for dialogue, education, and fellowship. And whereas the SRVIC has provided many volunteer services to the San Ramon community, included but not limited to the following: providing community assistance during the COVID-19 pandemic, partnering with the International Rescue Committee to support newly arriving refugees to the Bay Area and help with apartment setups for families. And you're going to, there we go. And you got to stop moving it. Okay, and providing community assistance during the COVID-19 pandemic, partnering with the International Rescue Committee to support newly arriving refugees to the Bay Area and help with apartment setup for families, packing and distributing 100,000 pounds of food staples and masks to at-risk communities in the Bay Area through their You Are Not Alone program, in partnership with Support Life Foundations and 47 other Bay Area mosques and organizations, sponsoring SRVIC blood drives with the American Red Cross, being one of the largest donors to the Contra Costa Food Bank, donating 25 to 30,000 every year, in addition to the estimated 150,000 in donations to community members in need. And whereas, enriched by the unparalleled diversity of its residents, the city of San Ramon takes great pride in supporting individual religious freedoms and is strengthened by the many varied religious, political, and cultural traditions and contributions of its diverse population, including those Americans who practice Islam. And whereas Muslims have been part of U.S. history from the beginning and have contributed to the production of wealth and construction of the nation, they are also part of the rich history of the civil rights movement. And whereas almost 10,000 Muslims reside in Contra Costa County and make innumerable contributions to the cultural, political, and economic fabric and well-being of the California and United States. And whereas American Muslims are teachers, lawyers, doctors, social workers, tech workers, nurses, and business owners, among numerous other valued professions, as well as peace builders, activists, entrepreneurs, and politicians. And whereas the California State Assembly has recognized the month of August 2021 as American Muslim Appreciation and Awareness Month. And wow, we got a big one here. And whereas it is appropriate to acknowledge and promote awareness of the myriad of invaluable contributions of American Muslims in California and across the country, and extend to them the respect and camaraderie every American deserves. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of San Ramon does hereby proclaim its appreciation for the efforts of the San Ramon Valley Islamic Center and the Muslim community to provide assistance to those in need during the COVID-19 pandemic, the many additional contributions that SRVIC has made to the San Ramon community, the rich history, contributions, and guiding virtues of American Muslims, and to commend all Muslim communities for the lasting positive impact they have made toward the advancements of our city and country. Dated September 14th, 2021. Signed by the worst signature I have seen. I've got to work on this signature. Let's bring it back to the full screen. I want to hear from Nadia Ann. Let's hear from you first and then finish with Ahmad, if we may.
Thank you, Mayor.
Ladies first.
Thank you, Mayor. In the name of Allah, most beneficent and most merciful. Good evening, Mayor Hudson, council members, and everyone. Thank you for the honor of the American Muslim of San Ramon with the proclamation of American Muslim Month. The San Ramon Islamic Center was set up more than 25 years ago and has been an active part of the local community. At our center, we have witnessed a generation of American Muslims grew up here locally. They went to school here, they work here, and now they have come here, returned here to, as parents, bringing up their children in this area. In this past challenging year, SRVIC has partnered with Support Life Foundations and others to distribute food to those who are being challenged in these trying times. We have also continued with our blood drive and donated to the food bank. In the last month alone, the San Ramon Valley Islamic Center took the lead and rallied more than $20,000 of resources to help the displaced Afghan persons from Afghanistan. So some of these youth that have grown up here have become entrepreneurs, setting up their businesses in the city, contributing to the vibrant business ecosystem of our area. The Muslim doctors, nurses, other healthcare professionals, and essential workers such as teachers are doing their part to continue our fight against the COVID-19 pandemic that is in its second year. We have got American Muslim participating in politics in San Ramon and in the Tri-Valley too. So once again, we thank you for the honor, and together we can make San Ramon the best home for all of us. We wish you a good evening.
Thank you, Nadia. And we thank you. Can you move, is that your, what is behind you? Is that San Ramon? Kind of cool. Thank you. Okay, Ahmad, can you add some comments to that? You can't beat the background.
No, can't beat it. So, no, I'll just keep it short. I really appreciate you, Mayor Hudson, and the City Council members for this acknowledgement. It's an honor to us, has been for the last couple of years, and continues to be a great honor to be part of this community. Just a reminder that our mission at the center is to create or develop members who will create positive influence on the community and at large. So that's what, what you read, the details are kind of the result of what we instill in our members to be good, positive members. And the city of San Ramon has been excellent to be a part of. It supports diversification. So we're really glad to be a part of it, and looking forward to working more with the City Council and Mayor Hudson. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Council members, let's start with the Vice Mayor. Any comments? Or you're on mute, but they were good comments. And he's still going. You're still on mute. Oh, Sabina, bail him out. Help him out a little bit. We'll go to you. There he is. Now you're good.
Yeah, okay. I want to thank them so much for all the extra effort and help they put in throughout the year during this COVID-19. I've seen them do their food drives and filling up in the parking lot and the barrels. And I want to thank them so much for all the additional help they provided our community.
Thank you.
Very well said. Thank you. Sabina?
Same here. I just wanted to add to it. Thank you, Nadia and Imad, for everything that you're doing as leaders in the community as well, and especially with the food drives. I know there was a huge need at the peak of the pandemic, and there were some seniors who were really hurting. And so appreciate everything you do, and do call upon us. If any of us can be there to join you at any of the food drives or the blood drives, we'd be happy to partner with you as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sridhar?
Want to thank San Ramon Valley Islamic Center and San Ramon American Muslim community for your 25 years of service to the community, especially during this pandemic. You stepping up and helping the community when the community need the most. Organizations like yours definitely make special about San Ramon and what we are. Once again, I would like to extend my support. If you need anything from my side, please feel free to reach out to me. I can be whatever the way I can helpful. So thank you very much for your services.
Thank you.
Councilmember Armstrong.
I'd also like to extend my thanks to Mr. Alushi and Ms. Shahab and the SRVIC for all that you did, all that the local community did during the recent pandemic and the recent events. There's so many good community groups in San Ramon and the local area, and plus our individual community members that do so much for others. I think it just helps to restore our faith and reinforce that there's goodness in the people in our community helping others, especially during times of need. So thank you again for all that you've done.
Thank you. I think that sums it up pretty much the way everybody feels. Though when you said blood, I'm still a little squeamish about needles. I'll give the food. We'll let them give the blood. Any last words from you before we move on? There's no action taken tonight. We could sit here and thank you all night. I'm looking at these numbers and it's quite impressive. Seeing nothing more. I like that sign in the background. Okay, there's no further action being taken on this. Once again, thank you from a grateful community.
Thank you.
We will move on to the second highlight of the evening, city manager comments. Okay, we will move on. No. Come on, you have to at least take it off of mute.
I'm happy to comment now if you'd like.
Isn't that what? Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped by the real important stuff. We've got the, I'm just moving it too fast here. There's no city council appointments, no unfinished business, no deferred consent calendar items. I knew there had to be a reason why Carrie was coming here tonight. Let's get to 10.1, the citywide camera program update. And we have Captain Goldberg. You're going to give us the update.
I am. Good evening, everyone, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, and members of the public who are with us tonight. So before I go into the presentation, I just have to say that I think I speak for all of us when we can say 2020 was certainly, if nothing less, a challenging year. But I look back at this camera program and what we were able to do in the first 8 months of the year, getting it approved, getting everything installed, and then moving forward, using August as kind of a benchmark. We're almost, we've just completed a year of having our license plate readers up and running, and about 4 or 5 months of having our sit cams up and running. But this was truly a bright spot. And I think Chief Stevens would agree with me, as well as the officers and the staff of the PD, in that this was definitely a welcome project, and I feel like we've just barely scratched the surface in what we're going to be able to do. But tonight, I'll give you a quick overview of what we've done to date, and then answer any questions. So, Christina, am I able to share my screen?
Yes.
All right. Is everybody able to see that okay before I start?
No.
We don't see anything.
Stereo.
All right. Let me back this out and see if we can get this going again. How about now?
Nope.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Sort
All
of.
right.
We got a dark screen.
There we
Now
go.
we got it.
All right. Okay, can you see the first slide? It's got San Ramon Police in the badge.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, so I understand and know that some council members were not here or maybe aren't aware of the program, so I will kind of go over a quick overview and then go into some different statistics and show a little bit of what the cameras are capable of and what we've been able to do to date. So the camera plan, the overview, it was basically a design of 2 systems, each offering different technology and analytics. One, we went with Flock Safety, which is an automated license plate reader. You'll hear that those initials a lot, ALPR. And then our second type of cameras are a Vigilon, and you'll hear those referred to as sit cams, situational awareness cameras. We have 46 different locations throughout the cities in which the ALPRs provide coverage on every route of ingress and egress, as well as select surrounding commercial areas and some other major thoroughfares. In addition to our ALPRs, we have 42 locations for our situational awareness camera. Now, each one of those devices offers 4 cameras within it. So multiple or several locations, we have multiple cameras. So we effectively have 184 different angles of viewing throughout the city. And the idea behind the plan was to have the ability to capture all traffic, capture images of all traffic entering the city, and then placing the cameras in strategic locations where we have the likelihood of passing multiple cameras when traveling in San Ramon. So a little bit of background on the flock license plate readers. Again, 46 locations throughout the city. Other agencies who utilize the same technology, we have the ability to share our data with those agencies, and conversely, they share with us. So effectively what it does is create a larger network of cameras. So if we are looking to identify a burglary suspect, we can not only look in our area or city, but we can also look in neighboring jurisdictions like Danville, for instance. Our first 35 cameras were installed in or by about the third week in August of 2020. And then we went with we had 11 more cameras to be installed at other locations, and we got those installed by the end of the year. But we've, for the most part, been fully operational with the ALPRs since mid to late August of 2020. So the other cameras, the companion cameras, as we like to call them, the Avigilon cameras, they're a little different than the ALPRs. They do not read license plates. They capture images and record video of vehicles that the ALPRs do not. And we have the ability to monitor areas both live and each camera is recording. So we can go back and look at recorded footage. That installation took a little longer. But we got that all completed in March of 2021. So we've been up and running for a little while on those, but not as long as the flock cameras. Each one of these devices has its own server out at the location. And so we're able to store that data for an extended period of time. We're getting between 30 and 40 days of storage, which is exactly what our vendor told us we would get, which is what we wanted. And the 30-40 days of storage, and there are companion cameras. They both work great independently, but you put them together and they do a phenomenal job. So how does this help the San Ramon PD and the community? Well, like I mentioned earlier, it provides live and recorded captured in public areas within our community. It provides the police department, our officers, our detectives with valuable evidence that we wouldn't otherwise have. Definitely provides investigative leads for detectives. There's also a public awareness and crime deterrent element to that. I can go into that it's on some later slides. And real-time monitoring. We found this to be really advantageous. It not only improves response times, but it can also enhance officer safety. And I can go into a few examples of that later as well. So I think just as important is to dispel some common myths is what the cameras don't do. They do not identify people through facial recognition. We do not share images or data with ICE. We do not, or the cameras themselves do not track people. We don't record images of persons or property in areas where there's no expectation of privacy. And I know this was a hot topic when these started going up. We do not detect speeders or generate traffic citations for running red lights with the use of these cameras. So just a few common myths to dispel there. So this slide gives you a review.
There's a big black block on the right-hand side there. That helps.
There, yeah.
Sorry, I think that's my Zoom screen that's capturing a portion of that. So this slide, it's a bit of an overview. Just like I said, August was kind of our benchmark when we first could say we were up and running. We got our officers trained, we got dispatch trained, and we were starting to get live alerts and be able to use our license plate reader system. So 1 year kind of being our benchmark, third week in August, that's where these numbers come from. But in that first year, the number of crime reports with the flock tag, meaning our officers have the ability when they're generating their crime reports or any report, there's a box on the report that they can check. So not only does our investigators know, but I know, and we can track, how well these cameras are doing, but they have the ability to tag the reports with either a flock camera or a sit cam tag or both. But in this first year, we've had 230 reports in which there has been evidence obtained through the flock cameras, 70 reports in which sitcam footage was used or obtained or saved as evidence or used to solve a crime or to assist with officers on details. Everybody thinks of stolen vehicles when you hear license plate readers. That's certainly one prong of what they do. But I will show you this stat. 62 vehicles recovered in the first year. And while that is certainly not as many as other larger agencies, if you're comparing it to the year past for us, 30 vehicles for the same time for the year prior to that. So we've doubled our vehicle recovery. And number of arrests related to evidence obtained through these cameras, 72 arrests for this past year, which we obviously don't have past years to compare it to because no cameras, but that's a significant amount of arrests. So with Flock, we have the ability, or I have the ability to go into our admin portal and kind of get some insights or look at some insights and see what our cameras are doing, as well as I can not only check the citywide program as a whole. You can see in probably the top right screen, there's something that says cameras with in parentheses 46. Those are our 46 cameras. I could go down and look at each individual one. I could look at a series of them, or I can take a snapshot like this with 46 cameras. So you see the time range. I just took this snapshot from August 4th to September 2nd, just under a month. But the total plate reads in San Ramon over that time span was just under 6 million. Then you can look down at the bottom. I don't know if you can see it with my.
You've got that black thing blocking it again. I was going to ask you what, I can't read what date
that?
it is, like August 13th. There it is. I mean, what is August? Are we talking about a Saturday or a Sunday, and every week the traffic's up, or a Monday?
So it's funny that you mentioned that. I assumed that question would be asked because I asked it myself when I looked at the chart. It ebbs and flows pretty consistently throughout the month. So yes, that 13th, that's a Friday. So as you can see, most Fridays is when we have the most amount of traffic traveling through the city, or we're getting the most reads, license plate reads. And then you can see it, for the 4 weeks in August through September there on the weekends, those weekend dates, you can see how dramatically it drops down. And this was really interesting to look at camera by camera too, because you really get an idea of where our traffic is throughout the city during the week, and certainly on the weekends. So again,
that 1 day peak is then how much?
I'm sorry, I was speaking and didn't hear the first part of your question.
No, sorry, I was saying that 1 day peak, for example, when it peaks, it's how many cars in that 1 day, or?
So that's about 230,000 plate reads in that day.
Okay.
Now keep in mind
that means a single vehicle might get read in 8 or 10 different cameras, depending on where they travel through town.
To a degree, like I had mentioned earlier, the large portion of our cameras the Flock cameras are generally at areas of ingress into the city. Now we do have some around our commercial areas. So certainly it's not unheard of for one car to be seen at 3 or 4 different cameras throughout the day. But again, just a snapshot. You can certainly see on the weekends, we have a lot more traffic throughout the week.
Wow, what a difference.
It is. It's and again, I could go through each one of these and show you where these are. And it's very interesting to see the traffic patterns. Obviously the city center is one where we have a significant uptick, almost by about 2,000 plate reads per day on a Friday or a Saturday versus the rest of the week.
Okay.
So part of the system and what the design is to do is not only does it read the license plates, but the cameras, if it recognizes a plate that might be of interest to us through either a reported stolen vehicle, a vehicle associated with a missing or exploited child, a wanted felony vehicle that another police agency has entered, Amber Alert, that type. You can see in the top right, there's topics, 5 different topics, and we have the ability to filter those out. But you can see for the same time span, we received roughly 2,245 alerts throughout the month. And I will tell you, the majority of those alerts consist of reported stolen plates. And oftentimes, as I had mentioned in the first presentation, you find that people will report one of their license plates stolen. So it goes into the system, the stolen vehicle system, as a stolen plate, but they're still driving around with their other plate. So we do have the ability to filter those out so our officers are not being inundated with stolen license plate alerts. However, we still follow up on the repeats and have the ability to try and track the ones down that the officers believe are actually stolen. So now this was actually a lower month in August, but you can see the 4 filters I have checked. I took out the stolen plate alerts, but we have the stolen vehicles, missing child, felony vehicles, and custom reasons. We also have the ability to create custom hot lists, and I'll show you a great example of what we did with one of those. So when that vehicle, maybe it's a vehicle of interest for us for a burglary or something like that, comes into town, we get notified of it. So you can see throughout the month 45 hits. And these are typically the alerts that our officers really go after and pay attention to, because these are generally good alerts and there's a reason that vehicle is in the system. So just to give you an idea of through the years, through the past 3 or 4 years of where we're at since we had this license plate reader and camera system in place, you can see for the first year, 2017 to 2018, again, using August as the benchmark, we had under 8 arrests, or we had about 8 arrests and just over 40 stolen vehicle recoveries. The next year, even less arrests, less recoveries. 2019 to 2020, the year before we got the cameras, we had 12 arrests and just over 40 recoveries. And then you can see since we got the license plate readers, we have 30 arrests and over 60 recoveries. And I can tell you since I made this slide, we're already ahead of that by about another 3 or 4. So if there's any question as to whether or not these are working, that one, just as it relates to stolen vehicles alone, that's a pretty good statistic right there to keep in mind.
And what kind of crimes are we catching, Carrie, with this? Or maybe you have it later on in the presentation.
That's a great question. I will address it later, but to answer it now, so I don't, it's not only crimes as far as the hot list in which we can add plates, but the combination of the camera system, these have been used in missing persons. We found that we were able to find a missing elderly gentleman out of Danville just by going into our cameras and looking at the live view. And seeing him walk up and down Crow Canyon near the shopping center there at Crow Commons. But typically our alerts through the license plate readers are generally felony wanted vehicles, either out of other agencies or reported stolen vehicles, ranging anywhere from here, honestly, all the way to the East Coast, as well as vehicles that we enter into our system on our own custom hot list. So that's
you had that one out of Florida here not too long ago.
We did, and that's a talking point kind of right at the end, but that was a great example of, across the country, we're getting these, stolen vehicles, reported stolen or wanted vehicles. So with that, you will see in the chief's annual report every year, I think we typically have our number of vehicle pursuits. So fair warning, for the next year, our pursuits, it's kind of an unintended consequence of having these license plate readers is now we have this force multiplier where we've effectively put, 45 extra police out at different areas within our city who have the ability to recognize a stolen license plate. Well, it's not uncommon for people driving stolen cars to want to try and get away. And as a result, our pursuits go up. Now, what I will tell you is that this particular stat is used for the calendar year. So this is just as it reads, basically January to December 2020, we had 28 pursuits resulting in 10 arrests. So roughly 30%. Same thing with 33%. 2021 to date, we're at 21 pursuits with 7 arrests. So I think it's important to note that while the arrests are going up, the pursuits are going up. Our officers know, and we have a very specific policy where we are absolutely taking into consideration if the safety of the public outweighs the crime that we're investigating or the actual details of the pursuit than we're terminating. So as you can see, we're terminating far more pursuits and not pursuing than we are. But like I said, our officers are doing a great job of responding to this, but it's just wanted to give the council a fair warning as to why you're going to see some more vehicle pursuits, and those are probably going to continue to rise, but that's the reason. So this gives you a little idea. I'm going to give you a little insight into what our officer sees, either on their cell phone or on their in-car computers, their MDTs, when they get one of the alerts. And this was, as you can see by the date, just on September 4th. You can see the camera, once it recognizes and reads that license plate, it'll give you the actual snapshot of the vehicle, which is in the middle. It will give them a close-up of the plate as the camera, as best as it can. And then it'll give that officer a map of where that camera is that recorded that alert or that hit. So as soon as the officer sees this, the way our protocols and our policy reads is they ask dispatch to confirm it. Dispatch receives this information almost simultaneous, sometimes before our officers. And our dispatchers, very well trained, do a great job. They automatically look at the plate. They confirm if that matches the same plate that's in the stolen vehicle hit through the state system. And then they'll confirm that for our officers. And our officers, meanwhile, while they're waiting for that confirmation, they're kind of heading to that area where they believe that vehicle is going to be. So you can see on this one, this was a personalized plate. It was at 12:44 in the morning, and it was right at, fortunately for our officers, made it a little easy because it narrowed down the area where they thought that vehicle would be. It was at the flock pointing southbound into Crow Canyon Place, into Crow Commons by the cheesesteak shop. So a little synopsis on that. The vehicle entered Crow Canyon Commons, southbound into the shopping center. The responding units located the stolen vehicle at 12:45. It was going through the Bank of America drive-through. They initiated a felony vehicle stop and took the suspect into custody. I have a snippet of the recording so you can hear from start to end our dispatch and the coordination with our officers. So you can hear what it's like and what they're doing. For the sake of time, it was clipped, so a lot of dead space has been removed. But from the actual incident history, from the time they got the flock alert to the time that suspect was taken into custody, was just under 4 minutes. So really good on their behalf. So I'll play the audio. I believe you guys will be able to hear it just fine, just so you can hear what they do.
Yeah, it's getting a flock hit for a stolen vehicle. South on Crow Canyon Place, Crow Canyon Road.
We're gonna start that way. What's the vehicle description?
Running the plate now. It's Henry Victor, Mary Adam, Nora, Sam Tom. Personalized plate shows a black 15 Audi A4 four-door.
They made a minute.
Plate looks like a good one, taken from SFPD yesterday.
3, I copy. I'm gonna be coming eastbound on Crow from the PD. Jimmy, I'll be checking Crow Commons.
Are we checking Crow Commons?
D3, I'll be checking Magnolia.
I'll be checking Magnolia.
Nelly, I've got it at the Bank of America drive-through.
Can I copy with it at the B of A drive-through?
Not there, but yeah.
Copy of not lit up yet.
At the drive-through Bank of America teller. D3, with Sam 8.
Copy. Copy.
Sam 8 direct. Do you want me to try to come in from the back side and we'll pin it in? Yeah, I'll go from the front side here. You go around back.
I'll be code 33.
Copy. And I'm out with the vehicle lighting up.
You lighting that?
Valley, D3. Sands code 4, we got 1 detained.
So that was it. The video, if you're curious, was about just over 1 minute and 30 seconds. But like I said, the actual incident from the time they located the vehicle to the time they took the suspect in custody was just under 4 minutes. So that's a really good example, I think, of a typical flock alert for a stolen vehicle. Dispatch runs it, confirms it, and our officers were able to get there and identify where it was, locate it, and fortunately for us, no pursuit, and we were able to take him into custody. So the next slide I'm going to show you, this is kind of the bread and butter of what this system is designed to do. This is an image from, as you can see, July 26th at about 2:30 in the morning. This camera is facing westbound on Bollinger Canyon at Norris Canyon. And this was a fun case because it just showed us how powerful these cameras are and what we can do with them. And so basically you had the next morning or later that morning, the victim woke up and reported his truck was stolen sometime during the night. And you can see in this picture at the very top of the screen, there's some taillights going westbound out of the city on Norris Canyon. That was our stolen vehicle. So really easy to figure out what we're looking for in the video by looking for the stolen vehicle. And you don't have to be a tenured investigator to know if someone stole a vehicle, there's probably a trail vehicle behind them. And so once we knew what to look for with the stolen vehicle, it was just a matter of seeing who was trailing. And lo and behold, we have this white Ford F-150 trailing behind it. So then we're able to backtrack from there, and utilizing that the characteristics and the description of the white Ford F-150, we're able to find out when that vehicle came into San Ramon, get a detailed description of it, license plates, find out where it's been, looking in other areas to find out if it's been there. And what had happened was they went up to Norris Canyon Estates, parked the car there on the side of the road, and cut out the catalytic converter and then left. So using that information, if you remember, I mentioned we have our own custom hot lists. This is what became of that. So once we found that Ford F-150 on the flocks from that night, which, we can put them in our city at a time, at a location, we're able to enter it into a hot list. So in the event that that vehicle comes back into our city, you can see what it looks like. You'll see here, it came back into our city 7 days ago, and this was the information we were able to put on our hot list, which our officers get. White Ford F-150, it was the trail vehicle and a stolen vehicle and a catalytic converter theft that occurred on July 26th. And it shows the picture of to the right of where the camera was that vehicle alerted to. So I mentioned earlier a crime deterrent, and not only do I think the citizens of the community know, but this vehicle was stopped. The identity of the individual was confirmed, and our officers, did a great investigation, confirmed, asked all the questions. Yes, I never loaned my vehicle to anybody. So unbeknownst to this individual driving this vehicle, we had identified it as at least a lead in a catalytic converter theft and a stolen vehicle theft, and made it pretty clear to him that we're going to figure out who he is if he comes back into our city and commits any crimes or does anything unlawful. So again, that was just a quick little recap, and it's really what the meat and potatoes of the system is, and how those two cameras working together makes it really easy and for us to solve, at least get some leads. And the amount of time that took, maybe about a half hour of an investigation looking into the cameras. So the last thing I'll leave you with is 3 quick examples of how this has worked and how successful it's been. Back in August, I think we discussed this a little bit earlier, our flock license plate readers alerted us for a wanted vehicle out of Florida. The vehicle was associated with a suspect wanted for a homicide from that state. So our officers were able to locate the vehicle after the flock alert, and ultimately 2 suspects were taken into custody. A stolen firearm was recovered, and an armed and dangerous person was arrested and taken back to Florida. So that was a great case. Completely different on the other side of this next one, back in March of 2021, we put a flock camera on the entrance to Memorial Park because it also covers, the other side of that. We have a school there, and Bollinger Canyon, coming from 680. That's a significant amount of traffic that goes up Bollinger. So that was a good idea to have a camera there. Well, we kept getting reports from Public Works about one of the roll-up doors being damaged at some point during the night with what appeared to be a pellet gun or a BB gun. And so really easy, was just able to go into the system. And once we knew what night it was, or, a time span for when this was occurring, we could just go and check the camera. One of the cameras faces the parking lot into Memorial Park. And sure enough, we find the individual who comes into the park. You can see him standing there, appears to be discharging a firearm of some sort or a gun of some sort. And so we entered his vehicle again, found out the license plate, and entered it into our system on the hot list. And then next time he came into town, our officers stopped him, and lo and behold, they found a high-powered pellet gun, ammunition, and he admitted to his guilt with that crime. So that was, again, using both the systems, but really took all the guesswork out of it. It was just a matter of spending a little time investigating that. And then the last one I'll talk about was at the construction site up at the new preserve, that site. August 24th, 2020, we literally had just put in the flock camera where this hit. We knew we had a report of a stolen vehicle over the weekend. We were able to look up that vehicle, and sure enough, we saw him passing the flock near the Costco on the overpass, coming in off Astoria. And just like I had mentioned on the last one, if one vehicle stolen, there's going to be a trail vehicle, and we were able to identify that. And through that subsequent investigation, we found out the suspects had rented a truck, brought the stolen property down to Southern California. We identified where they were staying as a result of the rental contracts and things like that. And ultimately, we found out from Anaheim that the suspect responsible for our burglary was also a suspect in a homicide investigation down there. And so our investigation led to the identity of where they were staying in Southern California. And not only did we recover our property, but we helped out their agency and made a good arrest and took a really bad person off the streets. So in a nutshell, that is my overview and presentation for our.
If you can take that down, we'll get questions from council before we open it up to the public. Starting, Vice Mayor, you have any questions, comments?
Well, I just want to thank Captain Goldberg for ramrodding this thing and making sure it got done in a professional and quick manner. And I just am thrilled at the results that we've had. We had a sense of the potential, and we had heard a lot of anecdotal evidence from other cities on the value. That I've been trying for a number of years to get this. And in some ways, if we had gotten the older system, we might have had a few other activities that worked, but this new system is technologically far superior to what we would have had 3 or 4 years ago. So by waiting, whether we liked it or not, by waiting, we've got just a dynamite system. I hope that the PD is evaluating places where they might want to either move a camera that isn't providing much in the way of useful information, or maybe there's some additional places where you think that we ought to be adding a camera or two. It sounds like we've got the place pretty well covered, but I can imagine that there may be 2 or 3 locations that you might find useful. But thank you again, and I'm absolutely thrilled with the results and what you presented tonight.
Yeah, thank you. And like I said, this was a shining bright spot for us last year and this year. And, to follow up on the placement of these, I think we're pretty well covered in regard to the license plate readers. But I am really impressed, not only with the license plate readers and what they're capable of, and that company is just really developing some neat search engines that make it even more robust and easier for us. But I'm really impressed with the SIP cams, and the more we can utilize those at different points throughout the city, it's helping us. I can't explain. I could go on for hours. You guys don't want to hear that, but I can recall most of those 230 reports where it was used, and it's just great.
I do appreciate you also including that with the reports that the council receives, that when the flock or the sit cams are play a role in some of those incidents, that's useful to me.
Okay, let me do this. I have all the council members want to raise their hand. If it's okay with you, let me put the attendee in first, and then we'll come back for final comments, if that's okay. Seeing heads. Okay, let's call in our one attendee. Call in user 1 first for public comment. We can hear you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, I want to answer Mayor Hudson's question to me. I was addressing the vaccinate or terminate against the firefighters and also police and also nurses, everyone. Just because they have the liberty and the right to manage their own health doesn't mean that they're subject to, communist practice by officials in Contra Costa County. I want to thank the PD. You're the best. Thank you for looking out for our safety. And I encourage the city to please put in more technology. However, with every technology comes with challenge because they can be abused. So again, I would encourage you to please think about who can possibly hack into these camera system and try to murder someone if they want to, especially when we go 5G. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have no other attendees. We'll close the that wish to speak. We'll close the public comment. Sridhar, you were up first. Then I'll go to Mark Armstrong and wrap up with Council Member Zafar.
Thank you, Mayor Hudson. Thank you, Captain Goldberg, for great presentation and sharing the valuable information. Especially this is for me the first time, so definitely a lot of very important information that I could take as well as share this info with our community. So definitely another thing is about the numbers. The numbers itself shows how effectively it is helping our PD. So there is a lot of good things seems to be happening with this technology that we are using. As the numbers, the stolen recovered 62 that you presented, is it only within the San Ramon vehicles or is it across the board with 15 Bay Area agencies that we are sharing?
No, the numbers I presented to you as far as arrests, pursuits, stolen vehicles, those are just all related to San Ramon cases.
But the vehicle may have come from San Francisco.
Absolutely.
And
one example I gave, that was a vehicle stolen out of the city of San Francisco, but it's recoveries in San Ramon officers.
62, that's a pretty good number. Okay, so my as I'm from IT and my expertise in databases and security compliance. So even one of the caller mentioned about the data, accessibility to our data. As you mentioned, if we keep the data for 30 to 40 days on each location of the server. So do we have the info who have the access to this data?
We do. Every user within San Ramon, which is right now, management, executive management, and sergeants as supervisors, everybody has a unique password. So anytime there's a search of that done, we have audits of it for any of our systems. And all of the servers are alarmed and in places that are not going to be accessible to the public or anybody wishing to take those or try and steal that data. And it's all encrypted and secured and housed in CGIS compliant cloud sites.
Excellent. So the data is stored in cloud sites? Or
It's stored actually on the server and then transmitted cellularly for the sit cams.
Okay, cool. And did we ever had any incident where someone tried to hack our systems or databases or cams?
No, we've never had anybody that I'm aware of try to hack the system, and we've never had any technical issues in that regard. We did have at the very beginning of this program, an individual stole or removed one of the poles. We had to put up a standalone pole out on Norris Canyon at Bollinger for the traffic coming in from the North Canyon Estates direction. Individual took that pole down and took that camera, but because of the technology associated with the camera, we were able to locate it and find it.
Sounds good. And to protect ourselves, do we have any compliance or policy guidelines for this accessibility as well as the security of these camps?
We do. We're compliant with all required regulations through California as well as state and federal.
Excellent. This is very valuable information, right? So a lot of community members, they keep asking questions about our camps and how we are using. So is it possible to put like 5-minute or 3-minute educational video, which we can share within the community? This is a fantastic effort that our PD is doing. As we know, you're the best, and using this technology, making it much more better for our community safety, right? So it will give more comfort to the community, I think. So if possible, I think we should get at least 3 minutes or 5 minutes video, educational videos, so that we can share with the community and they need to, so that they can feel much more comfort with what's going on within the city. So that will be great if you can do that.
Great idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks once again for all your great service.
Member
Mayor,
Armstrong, then
can I make a
Safar.
point of clarification?
Pardon?
Mayor, can I make a point of clarification?
I was going to if you didn't. Go ahead.
Just to clarify, Captain Goldberg mentioned executive management. That's the police executive management. No, buddy outside the police department has access to this system, including any management other than the police management. So I just want to make clarification on that.
Correct. My apologies. I was speaking about the hierarchy of the department and the investigators down below in the chain of command. So my apologies for any confusion.
So don't get
Mark that one off the list. Okay. Member Armstrong and then Safar.
Thank you.
I'm Goldberg. Good report. That was really good information. I think you provided some powerful examples of how this is working and getting results. And I think the statistics that you provided are really showing that it's paying dividends. And you also, part of your presentation, you highlighted some of the partnerships that we have with the neighboring jurisdictions or even a nationwide system. So I think that's all great. I think it's just one more thing, since we're all invested in this whole idea of public safety, but I think it's just one more example of something that's helping to make San Ramon, a safe place to work and to live and to play. So thank you for all that the SRPD does.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, this is just the first year, and we're in the process of hiring an analyst that's going to help us out. And I think we're just scratching the surface on what we're capable of truly doing once we get up and running. So thank you.
Thank you. Council Member Safar.
Yeah, I just want to say, Captain Goldberg, thank you so much. That was a pretty comprehensive report, and you answered a lot of questions through that. So appreciate that. I think some of the myths were good to hear, because that's exactly what you get questioned on, right? So thanks for that. One of the things which was coming to mind is that data something you can share with our traffics or with the traffic department in terms of traffic patterns and things like that? So maybe that team can look at our traffic patterns and how we manage our roads and streets. I know this is for the purpose of safety, but I think traffic management is part of the safety as well. So just a recommendation that, if some of that traffic pattern information can be shared within other departments, that might be helpful too, to see, how many cars we get on the roads, how do we manage our traffic signals and things like that. So that's why that pattern map you showed, I'm like, how many cars do we get on that peak? And, how can we help with the flow when people come and say there's too much traffic in San Ramon? We can mitigate some of that. But yeah, overall, kind of seeing it from when you initially presented it to now that we have the system implemented, I have a lot of people that have been very happy with it. My neighbor's car was stolen and then found in San Jose 7 days later. And that was, you didn't think that would happen, a few years back. It's like, once the car is gone, the car is gone. So I think this connectivity between all the agencies is really helping us manage some of, the stolen vehicles especially. And if your car is stolen, then, you're not very happy. You wake up in the morning and don't find it outside. So appreciate it.
Thank you. And the short answer to your question is yes, we have the ability and we are working on sharing with traffic and engineering, so we can do that.
Thank you.
They've got their own pictures too. There's no council action on this that's required, but a couple points I want to bring up also. One, we do actually have to monitor 26 lights as part of the Doherty Valley settlement agreement. So yeah, somewhere in there, exactly what Sabina was just talking about is, we're all getting the information, but some of these lights, I don't think they're paying attention to the traffic, because I get all the calls, and the one up there at Club Sport, I'd love to throw that one out. I can't hide from them. AB 917 Bloom may be something to look at. And I'm not sure where we can go from this. It's probably going to bring in the city manager. This is illegal parking at bus zones, and they want to put cameras at the bus stops somehow, some way. And I would think that if it's going to happen in our city, we should have an awful lot of say on how that's taken care of. Maybe there's some money in it, something to look into. I know I'm going to talk to County Connection tomorrow about it. I was starting to get concerned about the cameras. I think I was in line with where Scott was going with it. This new technology, but the technology works if the lens is clean. I'm looking at all these fires, and I'm surprised you can still see anything through those cameras. But what is the maintenance like? Do we have to clean it once in a while? We just leave it, or we wait until it gets so dirty we go buy a new one?
No, so the beauty of the flock, the license plate readers, is every one but one is solar powered. There's only one, and the only reason we couldn't use solar there is because we weren't getting enough light from a tree canopy, and that's the one southbound on Crow Canyon Place from Costco. Just that the canopy is too much. But the beauty of the flock cameras are they come out and they have a service routine where they come out and clean the solar cell as well as the lens. And the same for a Vigilon, our contractor. They have their own bucket truck, and if there's anything wrong, if I pull up the cameras every day and look at it, and if one of them, if connectivity is weak, or if there's a blemish on the lens itself, they'll come out and usually within a day or two and have it cleaned.
Well, we probably ought to move that one down a little closer to Ross. Robert Storr lives over there, and you never know about those Danville council members that's speeding into the city. We might have to investigate. Anyway, I would just every once in a while he pays attention, and we just sort of go at each other. But the reality here is it's a great job. I want to really explore what Councilmember Barros is talking about, but in a more a study session with the city manager. I don't want to tell too many people what you do, or they'll know where they are. But we do want to tell them what a great job you're doing along the lines of what they saw tonight. Your investment, I mean, this was not a couple 20s and change. I mean, we put some money into it, but I think you made a clear picture that the money was worth it tonight. And there's going to be more if we're going to start putting it and working with the buses and our companies or bus stops, and who knows? I mean, I don't even want to know an answer if they are at the schools, but this is the technology that's here now, and how to utilize it and keep it under control where it mixes in with the other things we have to do in our budget's going to be, the next several years. How do we do it? I mean, are we replacing these things every 18 months, every 18 years? I doubt technology, but that's what's in front of us now. That's what was campaigned the last when it was the cars. We've got them in there in the cars too. But Sabina, do you still have your hand up? Go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm rattling here.
Yeah, no, I was just going to make a couple of points. One, if people do ask us about this was a great report. And now that it's on YouTube, I will tell people, I will point them to this meeting and say, you can go and listen to that. And I think the other point that Gary just made about these being solar is very important, actually. We are managing our carbon footprint here. So that's a very important part of, as we're rolling out new technology, how are we rolling it out responsibly? So just wanted to raise that.
Actually, that is something you don't have a problem with these around Christmas. I mean, most of the problems that I see in theft and everything, it's amazing. at Christmas time, how bad things get, but it also, the days get shorter. I mean, you don't have a problem with any of these.
So
We
you're
haven't.
right. The days certainly get shorter. One of the advantages to the design behind these cameras is that solar power charges an internal battery.
Good.
Where we have issues at some places, obviously the days are shorter, the sun's not getting quite as much sun, but the ability to put a second battery in there that charges during the day. So again, with a year of these being up and in place, the only one we had any sort of continual problem with was one, and now that's been hardwired into the existing power already at that location. Everything else is working great from a solar perspective, and then keeping charged at least 24 hours or more, so we're not losing data.
Good. Well, thank you, Captain Goldberg. Thank the staff and all the members of our PD. Another great job. We love to hear from you. There's no action taken on this other than tell you, great job.
Thank you.
And the humor went out of my smart aleck remark earlier when I said the next is city manager comments. So I'll just say with no fanfare, city manager comments.
Okay, thank you. I have a few comments now. I'd like to direct the community's attention to we are updating our general plan. We have a website dedicated to the general plan, and that's plansanramon.com. It has all the information you would need to get an idea of all the planning process. It allows for interactive input for the community members on housing and other things like that. So I recommend the community take advantage of that. You can also access that from the city's general website as well. Along those lines, we started our first for this year, Citizens Planning Academy. It launched last night in the council chambers and was very successful. I believe there's 22 or so folks signed up for it, and it's a multiple week planning academy that deals specifically with planning and land use and things that are important to folks surrounding those issues. It gives a history of land use and planning, and then provides insight into how that process takes place all the way up through the Planning Commission. So if there's interest in that, obviously this one is kicked off already, but I would recommend also that any of the community members take part in these academies because they're very educational and informative. And then last thing, if you haven't noticed, I'm happy to report that El Costa is pretty much done, the repaving project there. There's some small things that won't impact the folks driving there. We were able to finish that early, and so that had a pretty significant disruption just because it's an arterial roadway and a lot of people use. So it went well and it's finished and it looks beautiful. So we're excited that went well, and wanted to report that. Other than that, that concludes my update.
Just one point of clarification. The flashing sign on El Costa says through October or something. I think we just finished the first section where the real tough part would be and where it's blocked off. But we're going to be working on El Costa, I think, a while longer, but at least we won't have to detour, I think is what you're going for.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, several residents couldn't access their driveways, just to get the things done. So we're very pleased that.
I'll tell you, it rides like a dream. Right? The mayor's highway. Okay, public comment is now open. Thank you, City Manager. We will now hear from the public. Now's the time for anyone in the audience who wishes to address this council. I'm still waiting for a hand to go up. I don't see any public comment going once, going twice. Last call, public comments closed. This is on to the council member comments. Any council member wants to chime in, starting with the vice mayor.
Yeah, thank you very much. MCE, Marin Clean Energy, continues to be an active part of my life. And I recently had two different meetings. One was I'm on the contracts committee. So we review contracts we do an open season where we say we need bids on certain kinds of power. And the California Public Utilities Commission is now mandating that we have a certain capacity of storage with our contracts going forward. And then we have to have some of that installed and up and operating by 2024, another bunch of it by 2025, and then the last mandate is for 2026. And it's a lot of power. We're talking about like 50 kilowatt capacity for 8 hours and things like that, but it's multiple contracts and we're going forward with those. So virtually every contract we're putting out now, it may include a power component, but it also includes a storage component. And that's real important because power is virtually free in the middle of the day when all that solar is out there. Particularly think about San Bernardino County, Riverside County, Imperial County, those places, they get 362 days a year of sunshine. So that's where a lot of those solar projects are. So now those solar projects will have a storage component with them. I want to point out, I'm also on their technical committee, and every year we're required to put together what's called a power content label. And in the future, the power content label is going to show you what if you're an MCE customer, you'll get MCE data plus California average. And I want to point out something, and Joe, this should be part of our climate action plan. MCE, greenhouse gas free, 99%. Dave, you hear that? 99% of MCE's power put onto the grid is 99% greenhouse gas free. And that is 5,200 gigawatt hours. That's a lot of power. 5,200 gigawatt hours, 99% greenhouse gas free. So, and about 90% of our residents are MCE customers. The California state average is 55% greenhouse gas free. So MCE is virtually 100%, and California average, that's PG&E, San Diego Gas and Electric, Southern California Edison, and all the other little power companies throughout the state are only 55% greenhouse gas free. So I'm really proud of that and what we're doing. And our rates are virtually matching PG&E on virtually every single various rate structures. So I think it's important that people know that MCE is doing this in this part of our goals. And I asked them, are they going to be able to maintain that? And they said, yes, they'll be able to maintain that within 1 or 2%. Sometimes during really bad peak days, we have to buy some power off of peaking plants, and those are natural gas. But fortunately, we had enough power this past year that we didn't have to buy much of that power. Joe, I hope that shows up somewhere in our climate action plan, that our city is doing a fabulous job when it comes to our electric power, our electric utility usage. I think that covers what I've got for this week. Thank you.
Member Armstrong?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. It's been kind of a quiet month, so the only significant meeting I attended was yesterday's Senior Advisory Council or committee meeting. They covered quite a few things. There was a reminder about the resource fair coming up this Friday. They'll have some grab and go packages, and that'll go between 1:30 and 4 o'clock. They also mentioned that kind of the results of their barbecue in early August. They had a decent turnout with 84 attendees over at the senior center. They talked about their indoor programs that they're bringing back, and some of their facility, the usage and rental, for things like baby showers and anniversaries and weddings and the like. So that's starting to come back to kind of post-COVID. So a lot of changes there. Their senior foundation is bringing back their, they got a program, Bingo is back. So they're bringing bingo back to the senior center for in-person bingo. And then the seniors got an update by our planning staff for the city on the general plan update as to kind of what's going on with that general plan update. And the staff solicited some input from the seniors on important things that the seniors would like to see as input into the housing element. So overall, pretty informative meeting. There was a couple other events going on recently with the postponed parade down in Danville that they held on the 4th of September, where I saw many of you there. And then also at the 9/11 20th anniversary, the remembrance ceremony over in Danville as well. So some important events for the community. It was great to see the community out and about, enjoying some fresh air, but celebrating some things that are important to our community. So, and it would be great one day if, I think this has been brought up in the past, but sometime we probably ought to look at what we can do as a city for some of these, for a patriotic event or something to where we can help celebrate with the community. We have things. We have the Art and Wind. We have culture in the community. There's several things, but there might be some other things we can look at in the future, I think, that can help draw the community together in a patriotic and a meaningful way. So thank you.
Member Barros and then Zafar.
So, there are no committee meetings or no committee meetings. It's relaxed month pretty much, but had an opportunity to attend, as Council Member Armstrong mentioned, Danville Kiwanis Parade. Nice to see Mayor Hudson, Council Member Jaffer, and Council Member Armstrong. I think San Ramon is well represented in the parade along with our historic foundation. So nice to see you all. And the next item I would like to mention is about our Oktoberfest, San Ramon Historic Foundation. It's on October 2nd. You can purchase your advance tickets by September 25th. So looking forward to see you all at the event. Those pretty much my items. Thank you.
Member Zafar.
Yes, thank you so much, Joe, thank you for that Al Costa update. I got a long email one day and the next day was like, it's all gone. It's, so, staff really took care of it very quickly. So appreciate that. I think, Scott, as you were giving your numbers, you don't have to answer this now, but I've been asked about nuclear and MCE, if they are looking at that being the cleanest form of energy. And I don't know if they're investing or getting any of your energy from nuclear, or is it just wind and?
Yes, we get 1% of our energy from nuclear.
Okay.
1% out of that 99 is nuclear.
Okay.
And that's considered greenhouse gas free. So
it's one of the cleanest forms of
yes, but it amounts to 1% of the 99 is nuclear.
Thank you for sharing the numbers. And then Joe, also thanks for sharing that website. Lately I've been, a lot of residents have asked how we're planning, where's housing coming in San Ramon, a lot of those questions. So that's a great resource to be able to point people to in terms of how we're planning this, how we're moving forward and how we'll capture their input. So really appreciate you paying attention to that piece. And then just like everybody else, we enjoyed the it was called the delayed 4th of July parade on Labor Day. But just wanted to take an opportunity yet again to see, I would love our council support to see if we can bring a parade to San Ramon as well at some point, celebrate, I think. And I really want to give a shout out to Karen for doing the great work she did in planning for it, in making sure we all celebrated in a very, patriotic and San Ramon way. So people knew this was the San Ramon Council coming in, and we made quite an impact. So thanks, Karen, for helping kind of have all the right signs and everything for the San Ramon council members there as well. And I think Sridhar mentioned it was a quiet week. I heard the finance committee meeting went on for a while, for a long time that you sat in for me. So I appreciate that. I guess, it wasn't that quiet yesterday. But yeah, that's it for my end. No, actually for 9/11, I wanted to share, I wasn't in San Ramon, but I was actually in New York at the 9/11 site, which was seeing that 20th anniversary being celebrated and really being part of that, being in New York at that time was quite emotional for me. I know we all of us remember where we were, what we were doing 20 years ago. And interestingly, I was pregnant with my daughter, who's now lives in New York and goes to college there. So being able to stand there and experience that memorial was actually, I don't know, I can't even describe the emotions, but I felt grateful that I was there and, being able to be at that site. So I hope you guys enjoyed it in San Ramon as well. I saw, there was a great ceremony that was held in San Ramon, but I missed that because I was at the actual site. So that's it from my end. Agree with Mark. We hopefully will find a way to celebrate our community more as our community grows, and we have several opportunities to really celebrate and bring the community together. So that's it from my end.
Well, Mayor's report, I must be living wrong because I had meetings that seemed like every night. There was one paratransit one I missed. I'm gonna have to get updated on. LAVTA and 3CTA are pretty much coming together on how we're gonna plan and try and implement some of the ideas that came out of the Blue Ribbon Task Force, which sent out 27 recommendations. There were 3 of them that I'm highlighting, actually 4. And the first one will be before December this year is act on a recommendation of fare coordination. This should be an integrated study, and select funding of pilot projects, which I like because we have one in Go San Ramon from the, I think it's West Dublin BART station all the way into City Center, and we'll contribute up $5 towards anybody that's calling Uber, Lyft, whatever. We're also asking to determine whether existing authority is sufficient to support this uniform implementation. We may be seeking state legislation if it isn't. And the big one is we're requesting action by Caltrans to do the bus on shoulder that we've been after forever. Just anyway, you can imagine there's 24 more of these. The all-important arena appeals coming up. Just can't wait. San Ramon is September 29th at 9 o'clock. Thank goodness I don't have to vote on that one. There was a I want to say $67,000 grant. Help me out, Joe. Am I remembering the numbers right? MTC is going to give us some money to work on the intermodal. I'd really like to see that thing redone in a different way, but that's a different time, different place. I mentioned tonight a lot of legislation coming down. We need to look at AB 917 Bloom. I believe it's already made it to the governor's desk, and this will be about putting cameras for illegal parking at bus zones. I don't know why, but people are coming in probably during school and blocking what we're doing for bus zones. It's going to be extremely important to Sabina and I on the traffic meetings because we can't have cars blocking the buses. So we'll see how far that goes. I haven't even read it. I just caught it today. I hope that we have figured out who's going to do the voting at the League of California Cities. I know I brought it up before. I have to be back for the arena appeal. I think I got Dan good, Scott. If you need any questions or anything, how it is, I remember the second one had me concerned about some. I would just suggest check with Cindy Silva. Let's not get sideways of next year's president. Outside of that, yeah, the 9/11, you thought it was emotional. You should see what it's like trying to get up there and speak. That day I will never forget. I mentioned the second call I got was from Herb or Brian Lindblom, it might have been second and third, that we had a resident on Flight 93. And you can't believe how emotional this community got. There was a campaign going on that year. I mean, we had campaign signs. I got ripped by two of her neighbors because I had a campaign sign up at Club Sport. He was my treasurer. People were really emotional at that time. But the bond that this city had with Dina Burnett after she lost her husband, I can only describe that everybody stepped up. It was 100%. We're going to take care of what her husband can no longer take care of. And it's good to see. Hopefully, the last I heard, things are going well. Outside of that, unless somebody else had something more, like paratransit 9/11, we will move on to a closed session. Convene a closed session under Government Code 54.956.9A and 54.956.9D1 for City Council to confer with or receive advice from its legal counsel regarding pending litigation in the following matters pertaining to the Tassajara Parks project. 1, Town of Danville versus Contra Costa County Board of Supervisors. That's case number MSN 21-1525. Number 2, Sierra Club, a nonprofit organization. Greenbelt Alliance, a nonprofit organization. Jim Blickenstaff and Donna Gerber versus Contra Costa County. That's case number, or Superior Court case number MSN 21-01509. And 3rd, East Bay Municipal Utility District versus Contra Costa County Board of Supervisors, and that's case number MSN 21-1274. You will be going to, I believe, Stephen, if I've got this right, we have a separate one we go on. We don't just stay here. We got to go to, okay, we're going out of here, but we will. Go ahead. What?
Just want to give the public an opportunity to speak on this item. It doesn't look like we have anyone raising their hand, but
I'm sorry. Thank you for saving me on that. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak to this before we go into closed session? Seeing no one, the public comment is open for this. We have 5 people in the public. No one's raising their hand. Public comment is closed. We are into closed session. See you there in about 5 or 10 minutes if somebody wants to take a minute or two for whatever they need.
Are we live?
You are.
I think the mayor is still looking for his link back into this meeting.
That may be, and I should have mentioned that anyone can report out. It doesn't have to be the mayor.
Here he comes.
Oops, I'm not unmuted. Okay, are we ready yet, Christina?
We are.
Okay, we are back in open session. The city council, well, I guess I should do that first. The city council met in closed session earlier and has given direction to the city attorney to defend the city in the following matters. Town of Danville versus Contra Costa County Board of Supervisors et al., case number MSN 21-1525. 2, Sierra Club, Greenbelt Alliance, Jim Blickenstaff and Donna Gerber. First, Contra Costa County, case number MSN 21-01-1509. And 3, East Bay Municipal Utility District versus Contra Costa County and its Board of Supervisors, case number MSN 21-1274. The city is named as a real party in interest in all 3 of these matters, along with FT Land LLC, Meach LLC, B1 Land LLC, TH Land LLC, and the East Bay Regional Park District. The case pertains to the approval of the Tassajara Parks project by the County of Contra Costa. The project is located in the Tassajara Valley in the unincorporated county just east of the city of San Ramon. The vote was unanimous. Anything else somebody wants to say? Let me check and see if anybody is even still here that no attendees wanted to speak. With no further action, we are adjourned to the next regularly scheduled council meeting, which will be held September 28th, 2021. Wow, this year's going fast. Unless one of you wants to stay.